Namaskar. Welcome to Katha Kahani Kavya. My name is Manisha. Sanatana Dharma, an elementary textbook of Hindu religion and ethics, published by the Managing Committee, Central Hindu College, Banaras. 𝐒𝐸𝐴𝐵𝐺𝐻𝑒 नानृतं उत्तिष्ठत जागृत प्राप्य वरानि bodhat. Forward. The Board of Trustees of Central Hindu College has laid down the following principles on which religious and moral teaching is to be given in all institutions under its control. The object of Central Hindu College being to combine Hindu religious and ethical training with a Western education suited to the needs of the time. It is necessary that this religious and ethical training shall be of a wide, liberal, and unsectarian character, while at the same time it shall be definitely and distinctively Hindu. It must be inclusive enough to unite the most divergent forms of Hindu thought, but exclusive enough to leave outside it forms of thoughts which are non-Hindu. It must avoid all doctrines which are the subject of controversy between schools recognized as orthodox. It must not enter into any of the social and political questions of the day, but it must lay a solid foundation of religion and ethics on which the student may build in his manhood the most specialized principles suited to his intellectual and emotional temperament. It must be directed to the building up of a character, pious, dutiful, strong, self-reliant, upright, righteous, gentle, and well-balanced, a character which will be that of a good man and of a good citizen. The fundamental principles of religion governing the general view of life's obligations, are alone sufficient to form such a character. That which unites Hindus in a common faith must be clearly and simply taught. All that divides them must be ignored. Lastly, care must be taken to cultivate a wide spirit of tolerance, which not only respects the differences of thought and practice among Hindus, but which also respects the differences of religion among non-Hindus, regarding all faiths with reverence as roads whereby men approach the Supreme. Therefore, 1. The religious and ethical instruction must be such as all Hindus can accept. 2. It must include the special teachings which mark out Hinduism from other religions. 3. It must not include the distinctive views of any special school or sect. This elementary textbook, written in accordance with this scheme, is intended for the use of Hindu boys in the middle and upper sections of the high schools of India, and is designed to give them a general but correct idea of their national religion, such as may be filled in by fuller study in college and in later life, but will not need to be changed in any essential respect. It contains the fundamental ideas and doctrines which are generally received as orthodox, but does not enter into the details as to which sectarian divisions have arisen. It is believed that while a sectarian parent or teacher will probably make additions to it, he will not find in it anything which he will wish positively or repudiate. While the book may be placed in the hands of the boys for their own study, it is intended to be simplified by the oral explanation of the teacher, and each chapter serves as an outline on which one or more lessons may be based. The shlokas given at the end of the chapter should be committed to memory by the boys. They will thus acquire a useful store of sacred authorities on their religion. The name of this series, Sanatana Dharma, was chosen after full discussion as best representing the idea of the fundamental truths presented. It has become somewhat of a sectarian name in some parts of India, but it is here taken only as meaning the eternal religion. That this book may prove useful in laying a firm foundation of right thinking in the minds of Hindu youths and may help in shaping them into pious, moral, loyal, and useful citizens of their motherland and of the empire, is the prayer with which its compilers send it forth to the world. This book is divided into three parts. Part 1, Basic Hindu Religious Ideas. Part 2, General Hindu Religious Customs and Rites. Part 3, Ethical Teachings. Part 1 has 6 subparts. 1, The One Existence. 2, The Many. 3, Rebirth. 4, Karma. 5th, Sacrifice. 6th, The Worlds Visible and Invisible. Part 2 has 7 subparts. 1, The Samskaras. 2, Shraddha. 3, Shaucham. 4, The 5 Daily Sacrifices. 5, Worship. 6, The 4 Ashramas. 7, The 4 Castes. Part 3 has 11 subparts. 1, Ethical Science, What it is. 2, The Foundation of Ethics as given by religion. 3, Right and Wrong. 4, The Standard of Ethics. 5, Virtues and their Foundation. 6, Bliss and Emotions. 7, Self-regarding virtues. 8, Virtues and vices in relation to superiors. 9, Virtues and vices in relation to equals. 10, Virtues and vices in relation to inferiors. 11, The reaction of virtues and vices on each other. Om Mangalam Dishatu no Vinayako Mangalam Dishatu nah Saraswati Mangalam Dishatu nah Samudraja Mangalam Dishatu no Maheshwari. Introduction. Sanatana Dharma means the eternal religion, the ancient law, and it is based on the Vedas, sacred books given to men many long ages ago. This religion has also been called the Aryan religion because it is the religion that was given to the first nation of the Aryan race. Arya means noble, and the name was given to a great race, much finer in character and appearance than the races which went before it in the world's history. The first families of these people settled in the northern part of the land, now called India, and that part in which they first settled was named Aryavarta, because these Aryans lived in it. The land from the eastern ocean to the western ocean, between the two mountains, Himavan and Vindhya, the wise call Aryavarta. In later days, the religion was called the Hindu religion, and this is the name by which it is now usually known. It is the oldest of living religions, and no other religion has produced so many great men, great teachers, great writers, great sages, great saints, great kings, great warriors, great statesmen, great benefactors, great patriots. The more you know of it, the more you will honor and love it, and the more thankful you will be that you were born into it. But unless you grow up worthy of it, this great and holy religion will do you no good. The basis of Sanatana Dharma. The ancient religion is based on one strong foundation on which are erected the walls of its structure. The foundation is called Shrutihi, that which has been heard. The walls are called Smritihi, that which has been remembered. The Shruti has been given through very wise men, who heard it and received it from Devas. These sacred teachings were not written down till comparatively modern times, but were learned by heart and constantly repeated. The teacher sang them to his pupils, and the pupils sang them after him, a few words at a time, over and over again, till they knew them thoroughly. Boys still learn the Shruti in the same way as their forefathers learned it in very ancient days, and you may hear them chanting it in any Vedika Pathshala at the present time. The Shruti consists of the Chaturvedaha, the four Vedas. Veda means knowledge, that which is known, and the knowledge which is the foundation of religion is given to man in the four Vedas. They are named Rigveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda. Each Veda is divided into three parts: mantra or Sanhita, collection, Brahmanam, Upanishad. The mantra portion consists of mantras or sentences in which the order of sounds has a particular power, produces certain effects. These are in the form of hymns to the Devas, whose relations to men we shall study presently, and when they are properly chanted by properly instructed persons, certain results follow. These are used in religious ceremonies, and the value of the ceremony depends chiefly upon their proper repetition. The Brahmana portion of the Vedas consists of directions about ritual and explains how to perform the ceremonies in which were used the mantras given in the first part, and further stories connected with them. The Upanishad portion consists of deep philosophical teachings on the nature of Brahman, on the Supreme and the separated self, on man and the universe, on bondage and liberation. It is the foundation of all philosophy, and when you are men, you may study it and delight in it. Only highly educated men can study it. It is too difficult for others. There was a fourth part of the Veda in ancient days, sometimes called the Upvedaha or Tantram. This consisted of science and of practical instructions based on the science, but very little of the true ancient Tantra remains, as the rishis took them away as unsuitable for times in which people were less spiritual. Some Tantrika forms of ritual are, however, used in worship along with or instead of the current Vedika forms. The books now extant under the name of Tantras are generally not regarded as part of the Veda. That which is found in the Shruti is of supreme authority and is accepted by every faithful follower of the Sanatana Dharma as final. All the sects, all the philosophical systems appeal to the Shruti as the final authority, determining every dispute. The Smriti or Dharma Shastra is founded on the stand is next in authority to the Shruti and consists of four great works written by sages, the chief contents of which are laws and regulations for the carrying on of individual, family, social and national life. Hindu society is founded on and governed by these laws. They are 1. Manusmriti or Manav Dharma Shastram, the Institutes of Manu. 2. Yajnavalkya Smriti. 3. Shankh-Likit Smriti. 4. Parashar Smriti. The first of these is the chief compendium of Aryan law, Manu being the great lawgiver of the race. Hindu chronology divides the history of a world into 7 great periods or cycles of time, each of which is begun and is ended by a Manu and is therefore called a Manvantara, Manu Antara, between 2 Manus. 6 other Manus, very great-minded and of great splendor, beginning to the race of this Manu and the descendant of Swayambhu, have each produced beings. As there are two Manus for each Manvantra, that shows that we are in the fourth Manvantra, under the rule of seventh Manu, who is, the next shloka tells us, the son of Vivaswat. Some of his laws are handed down in the Manu Smriti. The Yajnavalkya Smriti follows the same general line as the Manu Smriti and is next in importance to it. The other two are not now much studied or referred to except in some parts of southern India. While the Shruti and the Smriti are the foundation and the walls of Sanatana Dharma, there are two other important supports like buttresses, the Puranas and the Itihâsah, history. The Puranas consist of histories and stories and allegories composed for the use of the less learned part of the nation, especially for those who could not study the Vedas. They are very interesting to read and are full of information of all kinds. Some of the allegories are difficult to understand and require the help of a teacher. The Itihasa comprises two great poems, the Ramayanam, the history of Sri Ramachandra, the son of King Dashratha, and of his wife Sita, and of his brothers, a most interesting and delightful story, as you all know. 2. The Mahabharatam, the history of the Kurus, a royal family of northern India, which split into two parties, the Kurus and the Pandavas, between whom a great war broke out. It contains an immense number of beautiful stories, noble moral teachings, and useful lessons of all kinds. These two books, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata, tell us most of what we know about ancient India, about her people and customs, and her ways of living, and her arts, and her manufactures. If you read these, you will learn how great India once was, and you will also learn how you must behave to make her great once more. The science and philosophy of Sanatana Dharma. While the Shruti and the Smriti, the Puranas and the Itihasa make the edifice of Hindu religion, we find that the religion itself has given rise to a splendid literature of science and philosophy. The science was divided into the Shadangani, the 6 angas, literally limbs, and these 6 limbs or branches comprised what would now be called secular knowledge. In the old days, religious and secular knowledge were not divided. They included grammar, philology, astrology, poetry, together with 64 sciences and arts and the method by which study should be carried on, so that anyone who mastered the 6 angas was a man of varied and deep learning. The philosophy also had 6 divisions, the Shaddarshanani, the 6 darshanas or ways of seeing things, usually called the 6 systems. They all have one object, the putting an end to pain by enabling the separated human selves to reunite with the Supreme Self, and they all have one method, the development of jnanam, wisdom. The ways employed are different to suit the different mental constitutions of men, so that they are like 6 different roads, all leading to one town. As to what is contained in the 6 systems of philosophy, it will be enough for boys to know this. The Nyaya and the Vaisheshika arrange all the things of the world into a certain number of kinds. Then point out that a man knows all things by means of his senses, or by inference and analogy, or by testimony of others, wise and experienced men. And then they explain how God has made all this material world out of atoms and molecules. Finally, they show how the highest and most useful knowledge is the knowledge of God, who is also the inmost spirit of man and how this knowledge is obtained in various ways. The Sankhya explain in more detail and in new ways the nature of Purusha, spirit, and of Prakriti, matter, and relation to each to the other. The yoga says that as there are now generally known 5 senses and 5 organs of action, so there are other subtler senses and organs, and explains more fully how they may be developed by men who are seeking to know God, who is their own true inmost spirit. The Mimamsa explains that karma is, that is, action, both religious and worldly, and what are its consequences, causes, and effects, and how it binds man to this world or to another. The Vedanta finally tells fully what is the exact and true nature of God or Atma, and shows that Jiva of man is in a sense the same as this inmost God, and explains how man may live so that karma shall not bind him. And finally, by understanding what the Maya Shakti of God is, by which all this world comes forth and appears and disappears, how he may, after practice of yoga, merge himself into and become one with God, and so gain moksha.